tutorial video that's tied to this lesson. I went over and showed you how I used ChatGPT to get information from an article. I looked at different websites, right, to help me find out whether it was reliable. I talked a little bit about the CRAP test, and I did all of that in a very compressed manner because, frankly, these videos have to be short, one to keep your attention into because YouTube has a 10-minute uh, time limit on the videos I upload. So this video is going to show you real quickly some of the stuff I generated outside of the recording using this information. Now, just a review, I created this research document. This is what I call my research notes, basically, for an essay. Anytime I have to do some sort of research writing that requires internet research, I create a Word document or a Google document. The first thing I put at the top is the assignment, and then I put the prompt so it can guide me. And I sort of highlight the prompt as you see here so I know exactly what I need to be writing or responding to. So this again is a cause and effect essay. And what I'm looking at is the effects of increased pay on employees in a career field of my choice. Now, because of ease, and you also probably saw through my research process, even though it was done very quickly, I have chosen the restaurant industry, and I found a good, reliable source PDF article, and I plugged that into ChatGPT, and it helped me create an MLA citation, which you see right here. That's going to go on my MLA Works Cited page, and it helped me identify a few details that I could use in my paper. And I went ahead and also had ChatGPT break out the table that Luca and Luca, those are the authors, use to find this information. So what I've done now too is underneath it, I've started brainstorming my paper a little bit, rough drafting it. Now, you probably already hand wrote a rough draft. Maybe you did some of this with that, but can be done either early on or it can be done in the revision rewriting stage where you take the handwritten draft where you get your ideas on the page and you start plugging in your research. But I do highly recommend creating a document like this and organizing it so it helps you keep track of your research. So I had a rough draft thesis I created. Overall, it appears that salary increases are positive for employees working in the restaurant industry, but may present some negative effects for their employers. We're going to say this. We're going to take that off and just focus since the prop only asks us on employees. So in this instance, I'm going to say I'm looking at both positive and negative effects, but probably in my conclusion, I'm going to take one or the other and make it the main focus of my paper. And, you know, we can talk about that. If you have questions, go to the discussion board and ask questions about what I mean there. So I drafted a body paragraph here, and I want you to see exactly how I did this. So the first thing is with MLA in-text citation, you don't necessarily have to put the author's last names in the parenthetical citation. So when I talk about the parenthetical, that's kind of synonymous with the in-text citation for most people. That's the information inside the parentheses and behind the closed punctuation. So this quote from the article here, right, appears on page 12 or page 20. And I have to have that information in the parenthetical, right, because it's not in the text of what I've written. But I do have the author's names here. Now, since this is probably the first time I will use the author's names in my paper, I spell out their whole names. But later I could just say Luca and Luca according to Luca and Luca if I use any more information from this. So I had ChatGPT, if you recall from my use of it in developing these notes, I had it break out this quote from the article. I had it actually read the article for me and give me some important details from it that I could find useful in writing my paper. Now, typically I would read the article, but because it's 44 pages and I only have so much time, I'm using ChatGPT to help me. But does that mean I'm using ChatGPT to write what I need to turn in? No, what I'm having it do is help me streamline my research process so that I can get the information, the actual quotes that I need, or the data points that I need to make my argument. So I used it to get that quote, and you'll notice this is the quote that we're looking at here, the data point, and it doesn't look exactly like what I have there, right? And I don't have this in-text citation with abstract and all that. Sorry, it's the third one. I don't have all this information in there because not all of it's useful. So I do put things into my own words, but what I kept was this: each $1 wage increase reduced the city level restaurant entry rate by 4 to 6%. And then I tell my reader what this means. I literally say what this means is that every time that restaurants made a $1 wage increase in the San Francisco Bay Area, which that's what the research Luca and Luca did focused on. I used ChatGPT to help me identify what city they focused on, city area in the article. The number of new restaurants opened decreased. Now, I didn't understand that from what ChatGPT gave me, so I went back and looked at the article to get a better idea of what that data point meant, what it meant to say reduce the city level in restaurant entry rate. So, on the surface, the wage increase may have been positive for people currently employed in the industry, but in reality, and notice I'm getting some help here, but the wage increase reduced the ability for employees to seek new employment from other restaurants and made it more difficult for people looking to work in the industry to identify new opportunities. Not the best writing there. It's kind of a chunky sentence. So as I'm revising and editing and thinking about my wording, I'll probably go back and make that better. But the key point here is that I found an actual data point, not just somebody's opinion, but a data point, a point of information that supports my thesis that basically there are both positive and negative outcomes from salary increases. And then I explained it in the context of my thesis. This is so important for your writing and how you use this information you get from the web, from web pages for supporting your thesis, is that they have to have both the citation, and the citation has to be data points, our stories, our observations that people had, and then you have the explanation. That's where you explain to your reader how this data supports your thesis. It's two parts, and you'll notice that this is a total of 3 sentences. The sentences are of different lengths. So that's how you use your research to write your paper, and that's how you make sure that it's cited properly in text. Now, when you get ready to finish and finalize your paper, the last page of the paper is going to be a works cited page. Now, I'm only requiring the use of one source for this paper, but if you had multiple sources, you'd say works cited. If you only have one source, you say works cited. You title it the way I just titled this page, and then remember I had ChatGPT create that works cited entry for me. So I'm going to go ahead and cut and paste that. And I'm going to scroll down here. And I'm going to plug it in right here. And you put the sources in alphabetical order by author's last name, right? And there, boom, you've got it. So when I go to write this paper, finalize this paper, this will be the last page of my paper. This will be in one of the body paragraphs, and I'll do all my transitions and drafting as I go. And then this shows sort of my tracking of the different quotes that I'm using from each article. Now, you're going to do this on a much bigger level than me with much more precise reading and much less use of AI to help you. I am okay with you using AI because of time constraints, but ensure that when you get to this stage where you're starting to draft these paragraphs, that the writing is yours and not the AI's. Okay, I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions, michael.rather@sewella.edu.